Are you ready? Let's do it.
This is Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake and I am here with the 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. A lot of people have asked why Toyota has added yet an 8th crossover or SUV to their already large lineup, and I think Annie Murphy and Kelly Clarkson can do a better job explaining it than I can.
La 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 la, a little bit of Lexus. La 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 la, and a whole lot of Texas.
So yes, indeed, the 2024 Grand Highlander is a little bit of Lexus and a whole lot of Texas. This is the sibling to the 2024 Lexus TX, which I am lovingly calling the Texas because, I mean, why not? But we gotta talk about the Lexus product lineup to make this car make any sense to all of you. So think about what Lexus sells with their different SUVs and crossovers. They've got the very, very popular RX, which seats 5 people, and then they've got the GX and the LX, which can be configured to seat more than 5 people, but those are body on frame. They're really off-roaders pulled from Japan to just fill out the product lineup, and they've actually got quite a following, but they're not really great as far as space utilization inside if you want to just seat a family and stay on the road more than you do off. So Lexus had to think about what else to do. Now in the past they had the RXL, which was a slightly stretched version of the RX that had 2 itty bitty back seats in the 3rd row that were frankly kind of useless unless you hated the people you're putting back there or you had literal infants or, you know, a chihuahua. But that wasn't working. So Lexus said, well, it's time to develop a new vehicle because BMW's got the X7, Audi's got the Q7, Mercedes has the GLS. People have these family haulers that are luxury oriented and big and unibody and street focused. So Lexus built the Texas, and of course, if you're gonna take the time to build a new vehicle, you can't really make it make sense if it just lives within one brand. That's just kind of product planning 101. So this girl right here exists because Lexus needed something to fill out their product lineup, and they didn't want to just take a Highlander because frankly, the regular Highlander is not really big enough to compete with things like the GLS and the X7. So this exists because it has to make financial sense for Lexus to build the Texas. So we've got the Grand Highlander. Now, why Toyota decided to keep the Highlander and then call this the Grand Highlander, I don't quite know. This is quite a bit larger. It is now their 8th vehicle in the crossover and SUV family, but I think the naming is a little bit lazy if they're gonna keep both of them. I think they could have just killed the Highlander and called this that, but they didn't. So let's talk about how this is different from a regular Highlander then. So starting with the wheelbase, this is about a 4-inch wheelbase stretch over a regular Highlander, and that is going to pay dividends in your legroom. The biggest difference with this versus a regular Highlander is what you're going to get for the 3rd row. 3rd row passengers get 6 more inches of legroom back there, and that is huge. If you've ever been in a regular Highlander, a newish one, the 3rd row is really for kids only. You're not putting adults back there, but I'll show you in a second. This one can fit adults. It is super nice because that's the whole point of having a big hauler, right? So this is actually competitive in that way. Overall length is also up by about 6 inches, and then you've got your overall width and height both increased by about 2 to 2.5. So this is larger, I think substantially larger than a regular Highlander, but it pays dividends where it counts. Now this is on the same GAK platform that underpins pretty much everything Toyota and Lexus make that is kind of transverse engine mount and mid-size or larger. So that's to say things like the Camry, the Sienna, the Lexus RX, the Lexus ES, they're all based on GAK, and that's not a bad thing. It just means that they can kind of amortize costs even more. So hip hip hooray for that. But as far as drivetrains are concerned, you've got 3 options with the Grand Highlander. You've got your base internal combustion only model. That is going to be a 2.4 liter turbocharged gas 4-cylinder paired to an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission. Then you've got the Grand Highlander hybrid, which is a typical Prius style hybrid. So that's to say you've got a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated gas engine up front here with an electric motor providing some assistance, and that is going to be paired to an eCVT, so a planetary gear set CVT, and then you've got a second electric motor on the back axle that kicks in only as needed to provide all-wheel drive. That's that E-axle, that E all-wheel drive. Then you've got the Hybrid Max, which is this one. So this is only supposed to sell about 5% of the total lineup, but it's going to be the most powerful version that you can get at the expense of a little fuel economy versus the regular hybrid. So in this case, this takes the regular 2.4 liter turbo 4 that's found in the gas-only Grand Highlander and makes that into a hybrid. So you've got the turbo and the hybrid setup, and that's how they get the maximum output. Now, you still have a hybrid electric motor sitting up front here. You've still got a second one on the back axle, so you've got two electric motors going on, but the difference is the electric motor is engaged 100% of the time. So this is considered full-time all-wheel drive. And there's no CVT here. This runs through a 6-speed automatic transmission, and that electric motor basically takes the place of the torque converter. Now, total system output here is 362 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Your fuel economy ratings are going to be kind of mid to high 20s, both city and highway, whereas the regular Grand Highlander hybrid, that's not the Hybrid Max, that one will do mid 30s everywhere. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but if you want power and torque, this is the one to get. If you're okay with it being a touch slower, then you want the regular hybrid. And if you just want the best value, that's the gas-only model. All right, so let's talk about the interior of the Grand Highlander, and starting with these seats. These are going to be kind of a mix of materials between a leather and kind of a micro suede. This is really pretty, and I think they're very nice. This is a platinum trim, so this is going to be fully loaded. These are great, although I do question kind of how this might go if you've got little kids. So if you have older kids or no kids, these seem great. You might want a different seating material on a different trim level otherwise, but let's just hop inside because it's windy and I'm cold. And let's take a look at a couple things in this interior. So you'll notice first and foremost this little guy right here. This is going to be a driver attention monitor for your eyeballs. So that is used for, as you can see in the cluster here, adaptive cruise. So this car has a driver assistance system, as everything tends to do these days, and this is going to keep an eye on your face to make sure that you're looking ahead, and that just kind of keeps things a little bit safer. Some people don't love it. I think it's better for everyone because we should just have our heads out of our phones when we're moving at many miles per hour. Now you'll notice this gauge cluster is fully digital, and we'll talk about how this works here in just a second, but you've got this cluster and then you've got the full Toyota infotainment system. Now, right now it's got wireless Apple CarPlay pulled up, but if I hit Toyota, it goes back to their system. Now this is easy enough to use. It's pretty snappy. There's a lot of menus going on here. I don't love that. And what is interesting is you've got two different places to customize vehicle settings. So you've got some things in here in the screen. This is all written out. This is easy to look at. You can figure out all these different options pretty easily because they use real words. Look at this. Oh, 2-press unlock, easy, great. Lock when door open, great. Now, if I move over back to the gauge cluster and I start using the steering wheel buttons to customize things, Toyota has not been able to get away from all their little 3 and 4 letter acronyms. So if we scroll through this, we can configure LDA, BSM, PCS, PDA, RCTA, RCD, PKSB, SEA, RSA. Do any of you know what any of that means? Because I don't. I can guess, but we've got an entire digital gauge cluster here. There's a lot of pixels, and I just think that this feels very left over from a different time when Toyota only had a teeny little screen that kind of went right here in the middle of the cluster. So I just wish they would make better use of the pixels. That is something that's so easy to do in software development, and they just kind of didn't. And you can tell they've even got it. It says vehicle settings and meter settings, so they are able to do it. They just haven't. And on a kind of funnier note here, if you go to meter settings and go to meter style, you can choose from casual, smart, tough, or sporty gauges. I want sporty gauges. Look at that. Oh, that's so sporty. So sporty. Oof. What about tough? Let's go to tough. Oh, now I feel like I can go off-road. Very manly. Let's go back to sporty because I'm a sporty woman. Yes. All right. So in any case, yay, there's your gauge cluster, and that's what you can do with it. Enough nitpicking there. There's plenty more to talk about. So moving back over here to this center screen, like I said, CarPlay and Android Auto are indeed wireless. You can pull that right back up here. This has a JBL sound system, which is entirely better than fine. It's good. Right here is your climate panel. I love that this is real buttons. This is good. Yay, Toyota. Yay, Lexus. This is lovely. So here you've got dual zone climate control, and then you can hit rear climate, and you can control the back climate zone as well. Now this car does have heated and ventilated seats, and these controls are very easy to deal with. You've got your defrost controls all right here, and then some more controls for airflow and all that good stuff. But this is nice and easy to use while driving. Really, really love that. Moving further down, this is your start-stop button right here. You've got a button for your camera views. Now, this is actually a really good, high-quality camera setup. If I put the car, let me turn this off and just put it in reverse, you'll see I've got a 360 top down, and then this is my backup view. I'm impressed because Toyota has historically not had super high quality backup cameras, so it is really nice to see that. Now, the other nice thing here is you can push this button and it washes the back camera for you, and that is really cool. I love that. So, nice touch to have. I'm gonna go and put this back in park so I don't back anyone over. And looking further down again, camera view, like I said, you've got a couple USB-C ports and wireless charging here. Plenty of storage. This is kind of a big cubby. And then you've got 2 cup holders here. You've got your shifter. This is typical Prius style shifter. If you've used one of these before, you'll get it. And then you've got your parking brake and auto hold, and then all your different drive mode controls that no one will ever use, but they are indeed here. So hill descent control, traction control, those are the important ones, and then different places that you're gonna maybe think about driving your car: mud and sand, rock and dirt, snow, or sporty, to go with your sporty gauges. Now looking back here, this is your center armrest and console storage. This rolls back, that's how that goes. Now this is super deep in here. You've got this kind of tray that can slide, but you've got a lot of room in here. This is nice. One of my friends did comment that this is not illuminated, so at night it can be kind of tough to see in here, which is a very valid point. Now looking over at the passenger side, you do have a boyfriend shelf here, so you can leave your phone or whatever if you're a front passenger, have that nice and out of the way with the glove box below it. And then you also have your own USB-C port right here, which is another nice touch. Now looking further up, this one also has a digital rear view mirror, which is, again, great. It's nice if you've got people in the back rows, because you don't deal with any missing obstructed vision here. So, and then moving further back here, look at that panoramic roof. That is huge. It covers all the way to the back of the second row, which I love. So yay for letting some light in. Now, speaking of second and third rows, let's head back here because this is where this car actually shines. All right, so second row, let's hop on in here and talk about that. So, again, shutting the door, I've got plenty of leg room here. This is with these seats all the way back, but they do slide. So if I slide this as far forward as it goes, this is gonna be really tight for me, and I'm 6'1", but you can certainly find a nice balance where I've got leg room and the third row seats do as well. Now, headroom is, of course, not really an issue. This car's got plenty of headroom here, and it carries out to the third row. We'll talk about that in just a second. Now, you do have your privacy shades here. They are manually controlled. This is a nice big armrest. I really like this. And then there's just a little storage spot here. I think if you are a child, maybe you would put like a juice box here. Maybe it'll fit. As an adult, I'm not sure what I'd put here, but like my keys or something, sure, that would be great. Now, looking in between the seats, there is this sort of big center console here. You've got 2 cup holders, some little slidey bits here where you could put like a magazine or a book or a tablet. That's really nice. And they've got these rubber little bumpers that'll keep something held in place here. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you don't want this because you need to, say, carry a bunch of things, you can actually grab a little tab here and pull, and the whole thing just comes out. So I like that Toyota's thought about how you would use this as a utility vehicle, and I think this actually works better than the Sequoia that is their other big 3-row family SUV. Being the Sequoia is body on frame, the packaging is a little tighter, and you can't get a flat load floor in a Sequoia. So the fact that you can pull out this guy right here, and then these second row seats fold flat with the third row, which I'll show you, this is pretty good if you're looking to haul stuff. I have moved an entire Jeep Cherokee XJ interior in this with plenty of room to spare. That includes the seats. That's my official unit of measurement, but you could fit 2 Jeep Cherokee XJ interiors in the back of this car. So that's really nice. Now, you do, of course, have these armrests, this being the captain's chair variant. If you get a bench, obviously this will be a little bit different. Now, let's talk about that third row because that is the best part about this versus a regular Highlander. And that all starts with how you fold these seats. So first things first here, we're gonna fold the seat. Now, this is how you get into the third row, is just grab this. It kind of does the tip and slide thing that we're all kind of used to. But what if you want to fold this seat flat? Well, just don't let it slide all the way forward, and instead grab onto this guy here and that goes all the way flat for you. And when you fold these guys flat too, then you will have a totally flat load floor. Now, if I raise this back up because I want to show you how I fit in here, let it do the slide dance, and then I will climb in. There's a nice little spot for your feet right here, so that makes it easy. And then I'm in. Now let's go ahead and pull the seat back. And I've got, actually, a good amount of room in here. Now keep in mind, I'm tall, I'm 6'1". My head is indeed in the headliner, but I've got kind of big hair, and I fit. I've got decent leg room, my feet tuck right under that seat, and I'm comfortable back here. Again, I've got a little armrest that's kind of padded. I've got 3 more cup holders back here, and then I've got another USB-C port to charge any devices I've got, so yay, right here. And I've got a little reading light, I've got an air vent. This is really spacious. I think this is a car that you could put 6 grown adults in, and everyone would be okay for a road trip. Obviously, your shortest friends would want to be in the back here, but everyone would do just fine, and you've got decent cargo space behind the 3rd row. If you put this 3rd row down, you've got class-leading cargo space with 2nd row back to the hatch. So this is a large car, it is boxy, and that goes a really long way versus big swoopy designs. So really impressed with all the space that's going on in here. Now let me show you how these seats all fold flat and the sort of cargo space you've got, because again, that is a very nice thing to have. So first things first, let's go ahead and get out of the back seat here. I can use this, or I can grab this guy right here. Either one will work. I'm just gonna kick that seat forward and get out. And, ooh, okay, it's always difficult as a tall being, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the flat fold thing like I showed you. And then let's go around to the hatch. So taking a look back here, you'll see this is your cargo space with the 3rd row up. This is pretty decent. You could get a couple of big suitcases or something in here. I think you could have people's luggage if they're all packing fairly light. Now to lower the 3rd row seats, this is pretty easy. Again, it's just these tabs here and here. They are not powered. This is manually adjustable, but all you do is flop those down and take a look at this. When this is all down, this is a lot of cargo space, y'all. This is huge. So, like I said, it does go flat. That's a really nice thing to have. And then to raise these back up, all you do is grab on these straps and pull. You can use these to adjust the rake of the seat back, and then just pop those up, and you're good to go. So let me pop this one up as well. All right, so driving the Grand Highlander. If you've driven a Lexus RX, this feels kind of like that, but a little bit bigger. It's very quiet and serene and comfortable and not really exciting, and that's okay, that's the point. But this is like peak Toyota appliance to me. The hybrid in particular just really makes it so lovely. It's completely unobtrusive. It does a really nice job of just kind of getting out of the way and being just a very nice, comfortable people hauler. And I think the fact that this sort of kind of started life as a Lexus, not a Toyota, goes a little bit further than, you know, some things might, simply because it just feels a little quieter, a little calmer, a little more something than other Toyota crossovers have to me in the past. So just a little interesting tidbit. Now, acceleration around town in kind of a city or suburb environment, this is just, like I said, serene. It's easy. And this one has the 6-speed automatic versus the eCVT, which we'll talk about on the highway too. But in the city, I think it does a really nice job. Now, coming up to a stoplight, this is one of the things that I really don't like about this car. The brake pedal has no feel. It is wooden, for lack of a better term. If you think about stepping on a wood block and pushing your foot harder against the wood block, nothing changes, you're just pushing harder. That's kind of how this brake pedal feels. It is frustrating because I think the rest of this car is actually really well executed, but the braking on it is not confidence inspiring when you get into the pedal. If you're just driving around town and you lift, it will actually do regenerative braking, and that is really cool on a hybrid. I've experienced this with the similar Lexus hybrid setup that uses the same 2.4 turbo as its base engine. It's really cool because it will slow you down. It takes a bit, it doesn't always do it, but if it starts to really drag the car and all that, it's just neat that it actually slows the car down. And then acceleration otherwise, as we get on the highway here, is pretty good. Now, it's all pretty unobtrusive if you're just kind of letting it do its thing. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and stand on it here, and obviously it's gonna get much louder. It's pretty quick for how big this is. It is not going to be a sporty car. The vibe of this is not sporty, but if you put your foot in it, it will, you know, throw your phone off the wireless charger. It will make some decent sounds for being a Turbo 4, and it will pick up and scoot pretty good. So it's certainly quick. Now, the interesting thing here is this being a 6-speed automatic versus a CVT, you've got some instances where you can kind of catch it in the wrong gear. And it's not happened much, but sometimes if it's cut the gas engine off for a second and you go for more throttle, it has this weird moment where it's got to figure out gas engine refire, which gear, etc., and it just isn't quite as refined as the eCVT has been. I know it's weird that I'm advocating for a CVT, but that is just kind of a thing I've noticed a couple times. In general though, very unobtrusive, and it is kind of nice to feel it downshift. It feels more traditional, which I think a lot of buyers are gonna like. Now, with the driver assistance systems, if I want to go ahead and do that, I've got an adaptive cruise mode, and I've got my feet off the pedals. Now, it does have this driver attention monitor here. It will yell at me if it needs me to put my hands back on the wheel. It's been pretty good as far as doing that. It'll tell you, hey, the active lane tracing is gonna go away right here. Take control of steering wheel. So, no big deal. It's not going to be as good as something like Super Cruise from GM, but everyone's rolling out all this stuff year over year, and you know, none of these cars drive themselves. Please don't think that they do, but this certainly helps reduce some mental fatigue on long road trips. It makes it really nice in traffic. It works great in heavy traffic. So if nothing else, it's a little bonus. It's a little help here and there. And then as we come up to an off ramp here, again, the brake pedal really, don't like that. There's just no great feedback there. That is something that could be improved. But as we go through this off ramp, this is a soft suspension. The car's definitely soft, and I wouldn't say wallowy, but it's just, this is not inspiring me to throw it through some corners. And you know, ultimately, I'm okay with how the steering feel is and how the suspension feel is, because for what this kind of vehicle is, no one's claiming it's sporty. No one's claiming it can be thrown through an off ramp like, you know, an X7 with the M Sport package or whatever. This is just a hauler, and it is comfort first, and I think they do a nice job of it. It is quiet in here. It's just, it's very good at its mission. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. Thank you for coming along. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, or right here on YouTube. Give us a follow on all the other socials, and head over to outmotorsports.com. We've got a bunch of events online and in person. We've got three track crosses at 2 different racetracks on both East and West Coast. We would love to have you for any and all of that. We've got road rallies being planned and getting on the schedule soon, so please stick around, come out and play with fellow LGBT automotive and motorsport enthusiasts. We would love to have you join us there or online with our membership program. Till next time, stay safe, be well, see you for the next one.